There is a power hidden behind the faces you see every day, in the eyes of the silent, the gestures of the loud, the hesitation in a handshake, the delay in a reply. This power is not wealth. It is not charm. It is not even knowledge in the academic sense. It is the ability to read human nature with surgical precision, the ability to understand people instantly, without error, without illusion. The greatest achievers in history, the ones whose names are carved in marble and gold, all possessed this single, unparalleled faculty. It is the number one skill that millionaires master, the key that unlocks the doors others cannot even see. You were not taught this in school. They taught you facts, formulas, procedures, but not how to interpret silence. They taught you rules, but not how to spot manipulation before it wraps around your throat. They taught you how to make money, but not how to master the emotions of those who spend it. Let me tell you plainly, as if your future depends on it, because success is not a contest of intellect alone. It is a war of perception. It is not the loudest voice, nor the most talented hand that prevails. It is the calmest mind that sees clearly into others and does not flinch. Now understand this. You cannot understand others until you understand yourself. You cannot read the emotions of a man if you are blinded by your own. The undisciplined man reacts. The disciplined man perceives. This is why emotional detachment is not coldness, it is clarity. Detachment does not mean you feel nothing. It means nothing controls you without your permission. The first step to understanding people is not to stare harder at them. It is to stare deeper into yourself. I say this to you with urgency. If you are governed by your emotions, you are already conquered. The one who angers you owns you. The one who manipulates your guilt controls you. The one who flatters your ego misleads you. But the man who governs his own inner kingdom becomes a master of every outer circumstance. You must become such a man. Let me show you how. The first law is this: definiteness of inner command. If you do not command yourself, someone else will. Every great leader, every true millionaire, every unshakable person begins with one vow. No one controls me but me. This vow is not shouted. It is carved into the mind through repetition, reflection, and ruthless self-honesty. You must inspect your thoughts like a general inspecting his troops. You must be able to ask yourself, why am I feeling this? Who put this idea in my mind? Is this belief mine, or did I inherit it from a coward? You must be willing to discard the thoughts that weaken you, even if they once brought comfort. This is the law of mental neutrality. What is it? It is the ability to observe your thoughts without becoming them. It is the ability to see a fear without obeying it, to feel a temptation without yielding, to recognize another's emotion without being infected by it. The mentally neutral man is not passive, he is free, like a mountain unmoved by the weather. He lets storms come and go, but he does not bend. When a man achieves this state, something remarkable happens. He begins to see through people. He notices the tremble behind the smile. He hears the fear hidden in a loud boast. He sees the patterns beneath a person's words, not what they say, but what they need. This is the power that makes men rich. This is the skill that multiplies value, the ability to understand what others want, fear, desire, hide, and deny faster than they understand it themselves. Let me tell you what the average man does. He listens with his ears, sees with his eyes, and believes with his feelings. He assumes, he projects, he reacts. He calls it intuition, but it is guesswork wrapped in ego. The millionaire listens with silence, watches with detachment, and waits for truth to reveal itself. He understands that the first reaction is often false, that truth hides behind layers. He does not leap to conclusions. He lets the mask fall. To master this requires the next principle: mastery over emotion. You must build a fortress around your inner world, not to keep the world out, but to keep your will in. Your emotional energy is your currency. Spend it foolishly, and poverty follows. Invest it wisely, and success becomes inevitable. The man who cannot control his anger cannot control his judgment. The man who needs applause cannot make hard decisions. The man who fears rejection will sabotage opportunity. Let me offer a truth you must never forget. The world is full of people trying to control you. They may not even know it. Some use charm, others use guilt, some use flattery, others fear. But they all press the buttons of your emotion to move you like a puppet. If you do not unplug those buttons, if you do not break the connection between their action and your reaction, you are not free. So how do you do it? Through autosuggestion. This is not mere affirmation. This is reprogramming your internal command center. Each morning, each night, you must remind yourself, I am calm. I am sovereign. I respond, I do not react. I observe, I do not absorb. I decide what affects me. This repetition spoken aloud, written, and felt plants roots in the subconscious. And once the subconscious accepts a truth, it begins to filter all life through that truth. What once triggered you now reveals itself as insignificant. Now comes the next law, accurate thinking. You cannot understand others if your thinking is clouded by bias, ego, or laziness. You must become a ruthless analyst of human nature. Not a cynic, but a realist. You must ask, what does this person want? What are they hiding? What are they afraid I'll see? And you must ask it without emotion. You must observe patterns, not exceptions. You must listen not only to words, but to silence. You must recognize projection. When someone describes others, they often describe themselves. You must study the link between a person's beliefs and their behavior. The man who says, all people are selfish, is revealing his own mind. The woman who constantly warns of betrayal may be preparing one. Millionaires do not judge quickly, but once they judge, they do not revise. They watch for a long time. They let people reveal themselves. They know that consistency is the mirror of character, and time is the final test of all truth. Let us turn to the next principle, personal initiative. Understanding others is useless if you do not act upon what you see. The power of perception is only useful to the man who is bold. When you sense a lie, call it silently to yourself. When you see potential in someone, move toward it. When you see manipulation, walk away. Do not wait for confirmation from others. Most people are blind to what you now see clearly. Do not explain your intuition, trust it. Now let us elevate higher. The highest form of detachment is not apathy, it is purpose. A man with no clear direction is easily misled. A man with definite purpose is immune to distraction. Purpose is the sword that cuts through confusion. When you live with purpose, you no longer chase approval. You no longer need to please. You no longer crave praise or fear criticism. You are not seduced by charm, nor frightened by anger. You become immune to the games people play because your game is bigger. And what is the greatest purpose? To build yourself into a being no one can manipulate. To become so sovereign that no lie can move you, no flattery can fool you, no pressure can break you. Then and only then are you ready to lead, to earn, to create, and to succeed without limit. You do not need a university degree to master this. You do not need a mentor to begin. You do not need permission from the world. All you need is the will to take command of your inner world. This is your empire. Rule it well, and the outer world will bow in time. What separates the millionaire from the masses is not luck. It is not even strategy. It is emotional sovereignty. The average man sells his peace for a compliment. The millionaire maintains his peace in the face of insults. The average man flinches at conflict. The millionaire studies it like a surgeon studies a wound. The average man fears being misunderstood. The millionaire uses misunderstanding to reveal the motives of others. Let me tell you something eternal. You will never control the world, but you can control how you interpret it. You can train your perception like a blade, sharp, calm, precise. The more skilled you become at reading people, the less they can deceive you, and the more you can decide who deserves your time, your trust, your energy. This is not arrogance. This is mental hygiene. And now, I leave you with this command. Detach from the noise. Train your emotions. Observe others with calmness. Interpret motives, not words. Do not fear being misunderstood. Fear misunderstanding others. Speak less. Watch more. React never. Respond always. And above all, repeat this truth until it becomes the law of your being. When I control my mind, I control my life. When I understand others, I cannot be controlled by them. When I detach from emotion, I attach to destiny. The greatest empires are built not with armies, but with awareness. Build yours now. Begin today. And become the one who sees everything and obeys nothing but purpose. You have learned that to understand others, you must first cease being ruled by your own emotional storms. But emotional detachment is only the beginning. Let us go further. Let us now enter the realm of mental transmutation, the ability not only to restrain a thought, but to transform it. The average man suppresses a reaction and becomes bitter. The wise man transmutes a reaction and becomes powerful. Do you see the difference? Suppression is repression. Transmutation is alchemy. Every time you feel envy, rise in your heart. Do not deny it. Study it. Ask, what does this envy teach me about my hidden desire? Every time anger flashes in your soul, pause and ask, what did this moment reveal about the power I feel I do not yet have? You must become a philosopher of your own instincts. You must walk through the caverns of your subconscious and bring light where darkness lived for years. This is where true clarity begins. The man who can transmute his emotions into understanding is the man who gains insight into others at a glance. He does not need years of conversation to know someone. He watches how they treat silence, how they respond to boundaries, how they handle the word no. He sees the essence of a man in the first 5 minutes because he has studied that essence in himself for 5 years. And what about the skill of strategic silence? This is a tool so powerful, most fear to use it. You must learn to become silent not only with your mouth, but with your energy. Say less than is necessary. Leave space. Let others reveal themselves. People will tell you everything you need to know if you let them fill the silence. In this stillness, you will learn more about their insecurities, their desires, their patterns, than hours of speech could ever unveil. Now mark this. People do not reveal who they are when they are comfortable. They reveal who they are when they are denied what they want. When you say no, observe what happens. If you want to understand someone, do not watch how they treat you when you serve them. Watch how they treat you when you stop. This is why emotional detachment is not weakness. It is diagnostic precision. It is a scalpel. It lets you cut through performance and reach the truth. But that precision must be paired with another principle, one most overlooked: emotional minimalism. The fewer emotions you allow to govern your day, the more decisions you make with clarity. The more clarity you have, the more leverage you gain. The more leverage, the more influence. The more influence, the more wealth. The man of success is not the man who feels nothing. He is the man who refuses to feel what does not serve him. This is not inhuman. It is superhuman. Now let us turn inward again. Consider how most people walk through life. They wake up reacting. A message, a sound, a bill, a complaint, a mood. They check the mood of the world before they check the condition of their own mind. And thus, they are not leaders of themselves. They are followers of chaos. But you must not live this way. Before you read the news, read yourself. Before you enter the world, enter stillness. Before you make decisions, ask, is this me deciding or am I just escaping? Most decisions are not really decisions. They are escape routes from discomfort. The millionaire does not flee from discomfort. He transforms it into data. Every discomfort becomes a message. Every pain becomes a pointer. Every betrayal becomes a window. And now we reach another sacred law, the law of selective association. To master people, you must also master whom you allow near you. Your energy is currency. If you spend it on the wrong people, you enter spiritual bankruptcy. People are carriers of emotion they bring with them, their storms, their agendas, their invisible wars. If you are not detached, you will absorb what is not yours to carry. The strong must protect their energy the way a warrior protects his weapon. Let this be engraved in your mind. If someone's presence robs you of your peace, their absence is a gift. You are not obligated to explain your growth to anyone. You are not required to shrink so others feel tall. You are not commanded by history to repeat unhealthy attachments. And when you detach from those who cloud your clarity, your vision expands. And when your vision expands, you begin to see the game. Because make no mistake, life is a game of strategy. And those who understand others faster win faster. Those who see through manipulation do not get trapped by it. Those who hear beyond the words do not fall for flattery. Those who sense the real motives are never blindsided. And here is something crucial. Most people do not lie to harm you. They lie to protect the image they wish you to believe. They do not want to deceive you. They want you to mirror the illusion they have built for themselves. If you are emotionally entangled, you will reflect that illusion and call it love, loyalty, friendship. But if you are detached, you will see that they are not trying to fool you, they are trying to preserve their identity. Once you know this, you are no longer angry, you are awake. Now, let us rise into the higher dimension of this mastery, the realm of destiny by design. The one who understands people instantly holds the keys to every kingdom, because all influence, all negotiation, all persuasion, all leadership, all wealth begins in the mind of another. If you cannot read that mind, you are lost in the dark. But if you can walk into any room, sit in silence, and feel the temperature of each soul, you are no longer playing the game. You are designing it. And what is design truly? It is intent married to perception. A man who knows what he wants and knows how others operate becomes unstoppable. He does not speak when others shout. He listens. He does not chase. He attracts by mystery and clarity. He does not try to impress. He compels through alignment. He does not sell. He reveals. He does not manipulate. He magnetizes. And now I give you this final truth, the golden seal of mastery. You must become unreadable to those you can read. Let that settle into your soul. You must become silent where others are loud, calm where others are erratic, mysterious where others are transparent, predictable only in discipline, unexpected in strategy, gentle in presence but unstoppable in direction. This is not acting, this is not pretending, this is spiritual and psychological armor. This is power disguised as stillness. And when others cannot read you but you can read them, you hold dominion, not to exploit but to lead, not to conquer, but to build, not to hurt, but to awaken. Because the highest use of power is not domination, it is creation. Create a world where truth is sharper than fear. Create a business where peace outperforms panic. Create a legacy where perception becomes prophecy. You are not here to be a pawn in the emotional games of the world. You are here to become a king in the domain of self. You are here to be a master of insight, a strategist of stillness, a beacon of understanding in a sea of noise. And now begin. Withdraw from the noise. Study the calm. Write your auto-suggestions. Read silence. Observe without judgment. Speak only when words advance your aim. Master detachment. Master your mind. Master your perception. And then, without needing to announce it, you will begin to understand people instantly. And they will wonder how you became so powerful, so calm, so unshakable. But only you will know. You did the inner work. And that is the number one skill millionaires master. The man who reacts is owned by the world. The man who responds owns himself. Reaction is fast. It is loud. It is undisciplined. It is emotional. It is, more often than not, a confession of weakness. But response is strategic. It is measured. It is rooted not in impulse, but in aim. Millionaires do not merely react to the world. They mold it by responding with intent. They train their minds so thoroughly that not even insult, betrayal, delay, or injustice can derail their direction. Ask yourself, how much of your energy have you wasted in reaction, to gossip, to imagined slights, to provocation, to digital noise, to praise that made you soft, and criticism that made you doubt? And now ask the higher question. What would happen if you responded only with strategy? If every choice was measured not by emotion, but by alignment with your mission? You would become untouchable. Now hear this. The world respects the man who does not flinch. Why? Because he is rare, because he is dangerous, because he has mastered the animal within. When a man shows no reaction where reaction is expected, he becomes a mirror in which others see themselves clearly, often for the first time. And many will fear him for it. Let them. The path of mastery is not the path of comfort. It is the path of self-ownership. And now we move to a higher rung, a principle rarely spoken, but always present in the lives of the masters: delayed emotion as leverage. Yes, emotion can be used, but never in the moment. A man who uses emotion in real time is gambling with fire. But a man who stores emotion, refines it, cools it, and reuses it later as fuel, this man builds empires. The anger you feel today, if harnessed and tempered, becomes fire for discipline tomorrow. The sadness you once drowned in, when reflected upon calmly, becomes empathy, the power to connect, persuade, and lead. The confusion of betrayal, when decoded in silence, becomes pattern recognition, a warning system that alerts you long before deception ever reaches your doorstep again. But you must not rush the process. Emotions are clues, not commands. They are smoke, not fire. They are signals, not steering wheels. This brings us now to the eternal virtue that underpins all success: self-discipline. It is not enough to know. It is not enough to perceive. You must act with restraint. You must govern the way you think, speak, eat, sleep, respond, and lead. You must build such an iron law of conduct within yourself that not even fatigue, flattery, or failure can break it. The disciplined man does not argue with his feelings. He commands them. He does not wait to be motivated. He moves because movement is required. He does not negotiate with procrastination. He destroys it with ritual. He does not consult his mood. He consults his mission. Let me be clear. Success is not an act. It is not a breakthrough. It is not an accident. It is a system. And that system is built by discipline so small, so consistent, that the world barely notices until the result becomes undeniable. Wake before the noise. Plan before the chaos. Think before you speak. Review before you rest. Reflect before you forget. This is the blueprint. These are the bricks. Build without apology. And as you do, you must also adopt the posture of psychological invisibility. This is the power to move without being read, to observe without being observed, to detach from needing to be understood and instead understand all. This is the posture of legends. The masses scream for attention. The wise man moves in silence and lets results speak. He does not explain his purpose to those who mock purpose. He does not reveal his plans to those who leak poison. He does not display his heart to those who play with it. He knows the value of discretion. He understands that in the economy of power, mystery is more valuable than validation. To understand people instantly, you must be unreadable. To know how they move, you must first know how you move when no one is watching. Let us now consider one of the final and most profound principles: the emotional echo. Every person you meet carries echoes of their past, their rejections, their unmet needs, their fears, their unhealed wounds. You will hear these echoes if you listen. You will see them when someone overreacts, when someone brags too loud, when someone avoids intimacy, when someone seeks control. These are not behaviors, they are echoes of unfinished pain. If you are emotionally reactive, you will respond to the surface. You will miss the real game. But if you are detached, you will see through it. And when you do, you gain one of the most powerful advantages in life: the ability to influence not just the behavior, but the origin of that behavior. True influence begins when you speak to the pain others don't admit, when you speak calmly to the storm they don't show, when your presence feels safer than their masks. This is the rarest power of all: presence without pressure, truth without violence, vision without manipulation. This is what the great leaders, the real millionaires, the inner giants have mastered. They do not force understanding. They make it inevitable by how they walk, how they think, how they listen. They are surgeons of the soul. And you too must become one. You must walk into every situation like a master investigator. What is not being said? What emotion lies underneath this resistance? What does this person fear losing? What do they most want to prove? Once you understand those things, you hold the key to influence. But understand this: influence without discipline is manipulation, and manipulation without ethics is destruction. You must walk this path as a noble master, never using perception for selfish domination, but for mutual elevation. Because the world needs more men who see and do not exploit, who understand and do not control, who observe and still love, who detach and still lead with truth. Now breathe this final principle deep into your spirit. Stillness is the birthplace of knowing. Stillness is not laziness. It is not indifference. It is power concentrated. The man who can be still while others rush, who can remain calm while others panic, who can hold silence while others ramble, is the man who wins. Why? Because stillness reveals. Stillness gives you access to the patterns, to the data, to the motives behind the mask. In stillness, you hear what people truly mean. In stillness, you sense what they truly feel. In stillness, You decide what your next move is with clarity. The man who moves from stillness moves with destiny. And so I say to you now, not as a motivator, not as a preacher, but as a fellow seeker on the path. You were not born to react. You were born to lead. You were not made to be tossed by emotion. You were made to command it. You were not built to be misled by faces. You were built to see into souls. And if you master emotional detachment, mental discipline, and the perception of truth, not only will you understand people instantly, you will rise above them, not with pride, but with purpose. And the world will not understand how you do it, because mastery does not explain itself. It only moves in silence and leaves echoes of power behind. There is a moment in every self-made life, a precise moment when the man ceases being a product of circumstance and becomes a sculptor of reality. That moment is not marked by applause. It does not happen in public. It does not feel triumphant. It feels silent. It feels still. It happens the instant you stop needing external agreement and start trusting your own perception above all else. Understand this. When you stop outsourcing your reality to others, you begin seeing them with X-ray clarity. Why? Because you are no longer biased by your need for them to like you, support you, praise you, or understand you. Need blinds. Detachment reveals. You cannot master people while needing them. This is why the truly successful, the self-made, self-commanded, self-possessed men often appear indifferent to praise, criticism, even company. It is not arrogance. It is internal clarity. They know that to understand people instantly, they must stand still internally like a mirror. Only a still mirror reflects. A shaking one distorts. You must ask yourself right now, what distortions still live in me? Do you fear being alone so you misunderstand loyalty? Do you fear being disrespected so you imagine slights? Do you crave admiration so you misread manipulation as support? Until you empty your vessel, you cannot receive clear water. Until your mind is still, your perception is polluted. So begin there. Detach. Let go of the need to be seen, heard, admired, praised. All of that makes you readable, and the man who is readable is controllable. Now let us turn to a principle that even the elite forget: emotional positioning. Every room you enter, you are either leading emotionally or being led. There is no neutrality. The man who sets the emotional tone wins. The man who reflects others' emotional tone loses. Let this law sear itself into your being. He who controls the emotional tone controls the room. How do you do this? By becoming internally self-contained. If you walk into a room tense, you leak your energy. If you walk in calm, you pull others toward your gravity. If you speak slowly and decisively while others are frantic, you reprogram the tempo of the environment. This is not manipulation. This is emotional leadership. You do not have to be loud to lead. You have to be certain. You do not have to dominate with volume. You have to dominate with presence. Presence is not charisma. Presence is still power felt, not forced. Presence is the product of knowing exactly who you are, what you stand for, what you see, and what you refuse to let inside your mind. It is forged in solitude, refined in silence, and revealed under pressure. The man who owns his presence becomes magnetic. Why? Because most people are unsure, over-explaining, emotionally leaking. And when a man arrives who doesn't need validation, he becomes irresistible. His stillness terrifies the weak and attracts the wise. To master this presence, you must develop emotional boundaries without apology. Do not apologize for needing clarity. Do not apologize for protecting your peace. Do not apologize for saying no without explanation. You are not here to be consumed. You are here to create. You are not a mirror for others' projections. You are a lighthouse for your own direction. Once you master emotional boundaries, you will instantly detect when others have none. You will see the oversharing, the guilt-tripping, the endless justifications. You will hear in their stories what they refuse to own in themselves. And you will stop being seduced by drama because you've chosen destiny. From here, we arrive at the principle of emotional minimalism, perhaps the rarest, sharpest psychological advantage known to the self-possessed man. Every emotional response costs energy. Every opinion, every argument, every over-explained sentence, every need to be right, these are bankruptcies disguised as engagement. The disciplined man uses emotion the way a swordsman uses his blade, precisely, rarely, and only when it advances his aim. He does not panic when insulted. He does not chase when ignored. He does not argue with fools. He does not defend his truth to those who've already chosen not to understand. He walks away because he knows that his clarity is louder than their noise. Let me give you this law plainly. The less emotion you invest, the more power you retain. This is why millionaires win in negotiation, in conflict, in vision, not because they are ruthless, but because they are emotionally neutral. They see 10 moves ahead, while the average man reacts to a single comment. They understand that the one who stays calm dictates the pace. Calm is not a mood. Calm is a weapon. And now you must decide. Will you continue to live as a reactor, or will you step into your role as the observer, the perceiver, the self-commanded strategist of your own reality? You already know the answer. It's time we turn to the final and most potent power in the arsenal of emotional mastery, the principle of energetic invisibility. This is the art of moving through the world in full awareness while giving nothing away. Your energy is your currency. When people sense desperation, you are taxed. When they sense loneliness, you are taxed. When they sense neediness, you are taxed. But when they cannot read you, when you give no signals, no overcompensations, no hints of insecurity, they have no leverage. And that is where you begin to lead. Energetic invisibility is not about hiding. It is about commanding what you reveal. It is about knowing what parts of you belong to the public and what parts belong to your mission alone. The emotionally elite are not always flashy, but they are always intentional. They know that every interaction is an energy exchange, and they refuse to overpay. So let me tell you what to do. Withdraw from the emotional auction of the world. Stop bidding for approval. Stop begging to be seen. Start building a fortress around your mind. A fortress made of rituals, of clarity, of brutal self-awareness. Within that fortress, observe the world. Study people. Track their patterns. See through their noise. Respond with precision. Act from purpose. Reveal nothing you don't intend. Lead with silence. Move with strategy. And when the world begins to ask, how did you do it? How do you see what we cannot? How do you win before we even start? You will not need to answer, because your life will be the proof. Understand this with the fire of certainty. There is no success on earth more valuable, more permanent, or more sovereign than command over your inner world. Wealth fades without wisdom. Influence evaporates without self-control. Applause turns to silence when the man cannot stand alone in the dark with only his will for company. That is why millionaires, true millionaires, not merely in bank account but in mental discipline, do not chase success. They become it. They do not seek to be understood. They understand. They do not cry out for peace. They embody it. And in doing so, they attract to themselves the contracts, the allies, the empires, the wealth, not as beggars but as beacons. And how did they do it? They mastered what you are mastering now, the sacred triad of emotional detachment, mental discipline, and inner perception. They learned to walk through fire and smile not because they were numb, but because they had trained their minds to interpret the heat as signal, not suffering. They became fluent in the language of energy, motive, silence, because they had spent thousands of hours studying not how people talk, but why they do. They built in themselves an inner citadel, made not of arrogance, but of alignment, and they stood in that citadel like kings, like emperors, like creators, not driven by the need to control others, but by the mission to control themselves. And you must do the same. Let us return for a final time to the central tenet. Understanding people instantly is not magic. It is mastery. It is earned in silence. It is practiced in patience. It is refined in solitude. It is tested in storms. It is confirmed when you enter a room and know instantly who's lying, who's leading, who's crumbling, who's hungry, who's bluffing, who's broken, and who's ready to build. And it is rewarded when you can lead without force, persuade without pressure, attract without pretending, and win without warning. Now ask yourself, Who do you want to be when the noise rises? Do you want to be the man whose emotions rise and fall like a storm-tossed ship, always reacting, always hoping, always seeking validation in others who can barely validate themselves? Or do you want to be the man who remains unmoved not because he is indifferent, but because he has chosen sovereignty over submission, clarity over chaos, purpose over panic? If it is the latter, then understand this. You must practice stillness like a ritual. You must become more fascinated with patterns than with people-pleasing. You must read energy before you believe words. You must look past charm and observe character. You must reprogram your mind daily through silence, through repetition, through reflection, until your subconscious becomes a fortress of principles. You must, above all, protect your peace, not as luxury, but as leverage. Because when you understand people instantly, you gain time. When you gain time, you gain power. And when you gain power used with honor, used with discipline, you gain everything. Now let me speak directly to the future, you the version of yourself that already exists on the other side of this mastery. Do not wait for a mentor. Do not wait for confirmation. Do not wait for applause. Begin now. Withdraw from the emotional roulette of the masses. Build your mental walls. Shape your rituals. Watch how you react and rewire it. Watch how others move and decode it. Practice saying nothing. Practice needing nothing. Practice being so still that the world rushes past you, but never through you. And then when you least expect it, people will come to you. Because you have done what few ever do. You mastered yourself. And so you now understand them instantly. That is the number one skill millionaires master. And you, my friend, are now ready to wield it. The silence is yours, the mind is yours, the mastery is yours. Begin.